just gonna get it kick started here. I'm gonna be on with Dilio and Dal today. I'm gonna go over exactly kind of what we did in the last stream that we hosted here with current market atmosphere. I think it's always good to see what's going on, see how things played out, even more so with the levels, combining confluences with the alerts provided, whether it be combo divergences, OBOS on the 30-minute, 4-hour, more higher time frame, whether it be your top gainer, top losers, whatever you're using to find your plays around these levels in this market means more than anything. You always want to account for sweeps that are occurring, structure breaks that are taking place, low end retests and high-end retests that are happening in the market, using oversold, overbought in the RSI. All these can gauge you into, catching a good play. But in general, it all starts with your levels. And that's what, in my opinion, the indicator really provides to you in your chart. We've went on a couple years of testing and making sure that these levels actually do mean something to the way that you perceive charts and the way that you want to look for plays, especially intraday now when there's little to nothing handed on a silver platter. Intraday has been very, very, very messy. There's been nothing amazing happening, right? We're still seeing a discount in the Coinbase premium. To just make it easy for you guys, we've included that in the latest indicator update right down here. You're going to see there that there's going to be your Coinbase discount and premium, right? Whenever there's a premium occurring, you're going to see that flick up. You can customize everything to your liking here. And to show you, the current updates here, we have PPI, CPI, FOMC, and Coinbase premium here. You could change the colors to your liking. So when premium flicks, you could see what color you like to change it to. Discount, I have it a red. You could change the font size. You could change where on the chart it's located. So you could change it to the top right. You could change it to, the bottom right, whatever the case may be. Same thing for the economic events. You could see here, the economic event, obviously on the 1 month, it's going to look kind of crazy. But when you scroll a little bit down, you're going to see that it shapes up much nicer in the chart. And it's just going to give you a good feel for what can happen, right? When you're not looking at things outside of the chart, you might not be even realizing that things can be taking place. There's plenty of times where I've forgotten there's an FOMC or a CPI or a PPI taking place in the market, and that's generally where price wants to go, either before, during, or after. And it's a good representation to you to either be proactive or just tread cautiously. And that's what I like about these more prevalent updates, right? Like, these are just to put on your chart for your eyes to see so that you know how to react for when price comes to, and so on and so forth. So I hope that you guys are enjoying that update. For anyone that has the indicator, you guys have already had that update for about a week or two. I'm gonna take all these off right now, and I'm gonna post the indicator on my chart as such. So if you guys are just getting access to the indicator, you guys want to see what the indicator provides, you guys have the indicator, whatever the case may be, you click on Woodsbot Premium. Crypto Native will give you access to that as soon as you follow how to get access to it. After I explain this, I'm going to have Dilio and Dal both hop up. One's going to show you guys how to get access thoroughly, and then we're going to show you guys some good confluences playing out on certain levels. So you see here, I'm going to click on premium, and this is how it's going to look, right? As soon as you click on it, the chart that I have is a lot more darker, hard to see these lines. Obviously, a lot of these colors are black, but you're going to change that up. So first things first, because I have a darker landscape, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change it to white for my line colors. There's options to open up multiple indicators. So you can open up multiple ones of these indicators, customize them to your liking. I'll customize them with you guys as I go. But right now, you're going to see we have the levels, RSI, OBV divergence, economic events, monthly, yearly open, as well as the daily open. We have the Monday range as well hidden in there. It's going to be black as well. I'm going to just change these colors for you guys so you can see them right now. So you have the Monday range is going to be here in blue. You're going to see that more on the lower time frame because the Monday range is very, very tight. But you see here, we included the Monday low, Monday high. We can include the mid range as well for anybody that would like that. If it helps, we'll include that. Just let me know. We also added where you have the option to show overbought and oversold RSI divergences only. So as opposed to divergences showing at every point when they print, we've included an option to where you only see a divergence print into oversold territory. So you're going to see a few divergences there were taken off my screen. That's because these ones that are shown on the chart now are solely in oversold or overbought territory, specifically because that's where price is going to react out of, especially in aggravated uptrends or aggravated downtrends like we're seeing right now. If you do not use that, make sure you take advantage, because that's a very good addition to your trading. If you're not focused on solely oversold or overbought, it's very important that you understand the concept of oversold and overbought. A lot of reactions happen from that, especially lower time frame. So if you're a lower time frame trader and you like these RSI divergences, make sure that you're getting into oversold territory. So yeah, I'm going to just take off all these things right here, guys. And I'm going to just leave on my levels, and I'm going to turn on confluence zones. So the newest update, we've added confluence zones. So you can see here, there's show confluence zones automatically checked out. I didn't have to check it out. It's going to be automatically checked out for you. On the higher time frame, there's going to be a lot less confluence zones. You can see right here on the weekly, there's no confluence zones on the BTC chart for Coinbase. When you go down to the 3-day, you're going to see that there's going to be your confluence zones here. What this is what I was saying before. There's a lot of levels, right? There's going to be a lot of levels on the 1 hour, on the 4 hour, on the 1 day, on the 30 minute, right? There's a lot of levels that print on your charts, and you're going to play these levels for whatever the case may be, whether it be an RSI divergence, whether it be because there's an SFP happening at a certain level. You know, whatever that reason is, you're playing that level for that specific reason. A closure, right? The higher the time frame, the higher the hit rate, and so on and so forth. What I'm showing you guys is these confluence zones combine levels that mean something for the current aspect of your levels. So the levels are just combining certain levels of confluence all in one, and it's creating a zone for you to play for when price action comes to. Like for me, I'm interested in a limit order, and naturally I'm looking to enter in on this sweep closer to this zone, maybe a deviation and a slip under this level. I could come up to that opinion because I'm looking at what price is giving me. I'm looking at what's happening in the market. I'm looking at the range that we're currently trading in. I'm looking at everything that's occurring in price action, including the weekly divergence into oversold territory and so on and so forth, right? You're always going to want to understand the landscape of things before you actually play anything and come to an opinion on the market. What I'm showing you guys is the current update and why it actually means something, how you could tie it into your trading. So again, on the 1 day, you see how we started to see confluence zones. On the 12 hours, those confluence zones are going to change, more prevalent the more lower time frame you go. The 8 hour, you see how we rejected from the confluence zone that printed a few days ago. And these confluence zones aren't always going to be the same on your chart. The levels are updating, the confluence zones are updating all the time, which is why you gotta pay attention. And the beauty of it is a lot of these changes happen on the higher time frame. So even if you're paying attention to, intraday, you always want to pay attention to the higher time frame first. You can see here how we had this confluence zone here, and it was printed before price action came to. You can see that because I brought my replay tool to where price action was before this level was retested. Anytime you're unsure if a level was tested or not, or if it was changed, or if price action played according to what that level was giving you, you can always take the replay tool and bring it towards what price action you want to see and just play it at that level. You can see whenever I bring price action to the current price, and then I bring it towards, let's say I want to see how price reacted here and if this was actually an area of interest prior to price retesting here. Or let's say this level here, obviously we see the confluence zone there was not there previous, but we want to see this upper end level. So I'm going to take my replay button back to this level. And you can see this level that I circled at before was not the same confluence zone that we're looking at now, although it was levels compiled previous. So these levels were here previous to this price action actually retesting this trend line, right? So even though it wasn't the same confluence zone, we still had a confluence zone that was untested above the current highs of the weekend price action, right? Before all that craziness happened, we had some economic news happen, and then on Monday, we pumped into the highs for the weekend, swept that level into the confluence zone, actually came above the confluence zone into the level on top of it, into that 65.4 level, which ties in with this 8-hour level of supply here. All right, that's a 2% level to DCA. And however you played, that's generally up to you and how you're playing it. But all I'm looking to show you guys is how this level of confluence showed you a good level and structure break to play and anticipate a lower high short with really good invalidation, in my opinion. And this is where we played ETH shorts on Monday. This is exactly what we were looking at. All that to say, you could have came to this conclusion just by looking at your confluence zones. And look how it rejected ever so beautifully out of that zone. Right? It doesn't have to play perfectly like that every single time. Like on the long side, might have slipped through levels, right? Granted, over here we didn't have any confluence zones in the middle, right? There's no confluence zones that printed for you on the 8 hour in the middle. So it dropped through all these levels, and now it's at where our last level of confluence would be. If you're looking at the 4 hour though, the 4 hour, you're going to have levels previous to that drop. So on the 4 hour, you're going to see there's going to be a lot more zones to play. And I guess there's not a lot more zones. There's one zone to play right down here. So we'll see how that zone reacted, or if it changed as price action occurred here, right? Because price action occurs, confluence zones change, right? We do not want these areas and these zones to be one signified level and that's it. And a lot of price action changes because of economic events or because news that is happening and so on and so forth. So naturally speaking, things are going to change. And that's exactly why I believe this confluence really should be your bread and butter. Like you can open up a clean, fresh chart and just open up this indicator and see some levels and just have a good grasp of what can potentially happen in the market. When you scroll up to the monthly, you're not going to have as many confluence zones, if any, for obvious reasons. There's not a lot of levels to play. On the higher time frame, you're going to have a lot more convicted levels to play because these levels are going to take time to test. On the lower time frame, you're going to have a lot more confluence zones to play because there's a lot of levels that are combining. We made sure to only give you the zones that matter, the zones that mean something. So it's going to be your 4 hour, 8 hour, 12 hour, 1 day, 3 day, weekly. That's how I like to paint my confluences, how I like to paint my chart, how I like to have the indicators set up. I usually have 3 different indicators because, I like to flick through them at any time. What I'm going to do is I'm going to have Tilio and Dal hop on. First, I want you guys to explain how to get access specifically. And then we're going to show you guys plays that you could have taken on, let's say, a hype in the past or right now. Whatever the case may be, we're going to go through that with you guys so that you guys can play them in the future.
So yeah, like I said, I'm going to explain to you guys how to get indicator access as well as access to all of our bots, silver tier as well as platinum tier. Those are 2 different types of memberships, and I'm gonna explain in detail how to get access to those. All right, so hope everybody's on my screen right now. When you get into the Discord, you're basically just going to see exactly what you see here. This is just basic membership. This is as soon as you join in, you get our basic role, and this is exactly what the Discord looks like. So we have our must read section, and again, I recommend everybody to go in here, take a look, read through all the forums that we have here, the first steps, the bot overview. This is basically a general representation of kind of our products, about us, about our community, our partnerships, frequently asked questions. You have our announcements. This is where me and Woods frequently go in here and update the Discord on basically streams, what we've updated inside of the Discord, and kind of any new indicator updates, etc. Updates is a very similar channel. This is where more of our moderators come in and they are hosting streams and basically updating you guys on what they're doing inside of the community. We have Jatel coming up next week, and he's a brand new moderator, so you'll get to know him very well. He's going to be hopping up, explaining the product as well. Socials, this is where Woods posts anything that he specifically shares on his social media, Instagram and Twitter. You can go in there and see kind of what he has been doing. Testimonials, again, this is where people are going to be writing about our product, about their experience inside of Woodsbot, how they like it, what they don't like about it. Again, I recommend everybody to go in there and take a look and see what people are saying about us, because we want to be as transparent as possible. Support ticket. Now this is very important. If you guys have any questions at all, please open up a support ticket. Me and Talisman are in there constantly answering your guys' questions, giving you guys access. So if you guys have any questions at all, or if you are kind of trying to figure out the community, what we're about, please open up a support ticket. Now, when we get to full access, this is basically the breakdown, the silver tier as well as the platinum tier. All right, so 3 simple steps. You go to referral links, or you can click these links here in step 1 and sign up to our partner exchange links. So we have Blowfin, Bybit, BitUnex. Whatever preferred exchange that you guys would like to trade on, you can click on it and it will automatically redirect you to their sign up page that is under our referral. So again, for example, you click on Blowfin, it'll redirect you to the Blowfin website, and you can see that the referral automatically has the Woodsbot referral. All right. Step 2, now deposit at the minimum of 500 USDT and actively trade. Now we don't get any of these funds. The $500 is your guys's. This is your trading account where we don't have access to it. We can't touch it. That is yours, all right? The one thing that kind of keeps this Discord running is basically the fees that are generated from you actively trading on this referral. Now that's how we pay our employees. That's how we pay for our products to get developed, is through you guys trading. Now, the whole reasoning for Woodsbot is we're trying to give you guys the tools to trade profitably, trying to give you the limit order bots, trading tools, as well as the indicators. So the more that you guys succeed, the more that we succeed. That is our whole business model, is helping you guys succeed, because then we're able to develop more and more and become more of a successful company. So I love the business model. It goes hand in hand with my morals and ethics as a human. Step 3, so once you sign up to the partner exchange, you have to go to the Blofin UID bot, Bybit UID bot, or BitUnex UID bot. Now, this is generally associated with what exchange you partner with or what exchange you sign up with. Blofin, you go in there, you go into the Blofin UID bot, you type in your UID that you get generated. And once I see that, once I've seen that you followed all 3 steps, you've deposited 500 USDT, you are actively trading, I will then give you access to silver tier. All right, so let's take a look at what silver tier grants you guys. Okay, so I followed all 3 steps, deposited $500, and I am actively trading. Now I have unlocked silver tier. Now you get a couple more channels unlocked here, like bot discussions, the bot education as well, other like basic community hub channels. But the main thing is this right here. So silver tier grants you to 16 tools to your trading advantage. You can go over to silver start here. You can customize all of your alerts. So once you click on these buttons, you'll get a role. The role will then generate you guys alerts based off of whatever tool you would like to use. So you got combo alerts. This is a very high, powerful time frame tool. This is what creates a bias in the market. So if you see all these going green, your bias should be, heading toward long. If it's all red, your bias should be towards short. Now you see this total, this is total market cap. This is for the altcoin market. And then you have USDTD. You want to see this in the red, and you want to see all other indexes in the green to form a bias. All right, so this is a very good, powerful tool to form a bias in the market. I use it all the time. So does Woods. Monday range alert tool. Again, this is for alerts on Monday range high sweeps as well as Monday range low sweeps. Another really powerful tool. This is for every single coin in the crypto space. Gainers and losers. Again, this will just tell you what are the top gainers and top losers on this specific time frame. You have funding rates, RSI heat map, volume, pretty self-explanatory. OBOS, this is overbought and oversold. Divergences on the specific time frame. You can see daily, 4-hour, hourly, 30-minute, 15-minute, and then you have basic divs as well, bullish and bearish on the specific time frame as well. Again, this is a very quick kind of breakdown of the silver tier bots. Now let's take a look at platinum. We'll go into a little bit more detail with these. So now I have granted myself platinum access, the highest tier possible. So you can see here, we got platinum tier now. Again, same as the silver tier, you go to platinum start here and you can select the roles that you would like to be notified on. I recommend once you get in here to select all of them. Very important to be alerted when the limit order bot, which is what you get access when you are a platinum member. Very important that you're alerted on when the limit order bot is taking trades, all right? Trades active. These are all of the active limits not yet filled. So you can see that the bot is looking for a short at 64,257 on BTC. That is a high confluence zone. Now you see these stars right here, okay guys? Again, another very important aspect of this channel is the stars. The higher the star confluence, the brighter the star. If the star is half filled, it's half confluence. If it's a quarter filled, it is a quarter confluence. If it's double the confluence, that means it's a high tier confluence. Okay, guys? So again, watch for these stars. Watch for how high of a confluence it is. No stars is low confidence, again, and then half, quarter, that describes the confluence zones of the trade specifically. So what I like to do, for example, is I like to look at every trading day as soon as I get in before New York Open, as I open up this trades active channel, and I look to see where the bot is looking to short or long. When I do that, I go to my trading view and I set alerts at those zones, and then I wait for more confluences to align. So it's another confluence added to my toolkit of trading. Let's go to running. This is all trades that are filled. You can see the profit, you can see the drawdown. Very self-explanatory again. We have everything organized from market cap. So you got majors, top 25, high caps, low caps. Again, pretty self-explanatory. Trades. This is where the trades will be sent, and this is where you will be notified of the new limit order. Sends you the entry, sends you the stop loss, and then it sends you a pretty cool chart. Trade alerts. This is where you're going to be alerted if the trade is filled, if it's canceled, and if it is coming close is where the proximity alerts are. You can see here too. For example, ticker CC is 1.5% away from the limit order being filled. And then we have a designated platinum chat for all of our high tier traders that are generating over 1 million volume per month. And that is basically how you get access to platinum tier, is you have to be generating 1 million volume per month to get access to our limit order bot. Okay, guys? All right, guys, so let's get into the indicator and how I use it specifically. So again, I just went through all of the bots. So what I like to do is I like to start my trading day by looking at the trades actives, seeing where the bot is looking to either short or long. And then what I like to do is I like to go into the indexes. So these are the steps that I break down, 1 through 6. This is exactly how I start my trading day. So again, I look at the limit order bot first and foremost, and then I go into the indexes, specifically USDT. I look if it's at support. If it is at support, I'm looking for shorts in the market. If it's at resistance, I am looking at longs in the market. And we'll go into more detail further on along in the stream. I like to look at a high time frame with the Woodsbot premium indicator, mainly the 4-hour, but I also like to look at the daily and weekly. I set alerts at both resistance and support. Again, I'll show you examples. I like to pull fibs from highs to lows, that's for shorts, and lows to highs for longs. I then like to look at the RSI. I start at the higher time frame and then I work my way down all the way down to the 15-minute time frame. I'm looking at oversold or overbought levels, and I'm looking for divergences. And then last step is I execute on confirmation of those confluences. So we're gonna look at this example on hype. Now I use my replay tool, but basically I saw that hype was coming down to a significant support level. Again, you can see the time frame here from the indicator. This is a high confluence zone. So I was setting my alerts, I was getting alerted. I scrolled out, you can see that we're obviously at some major support here. This is a major order block support zone. We're also trading at the 200 EMA, slightly below it. I believe I executed on this trade. I can't remember exactly. I'd have to take a look at my journal, but as I was getting alerted, we have liquidity down here, so I'm setting my stop loss below there. I'm setting a DCA limit at the other 4-hour support zone, all right? And I'm targeting, again, resistance as my take profits. Now, depending on the RR is depending on where I take profit as well as where the support zones are. So you can see that the next 4-hour resistance level, that's 0.66R. I'm looking for a 1R to take profit, my first profit point. So I'm looking more at the 61 to 62 region on hype. I'm looking at the confluences. So as you can see here, the 4-hour RSI is starting to get oversold. Now let's take a look at the higher time frames, or the lower time frame, sorry. So I'm looking at this is the 4-hour, 30-minute, 15, and 5 time frame, working my way down in time frames. I'm starting to see that there's a possible bullish divergence coming in on the 15. 15 is getting oversold, or the 30 minutes getting oversold, as well as the 15. You can see that there's a slight bull div kind of forming. So I'm getting my confluences. First 4-hour, then 30-minute, we're starting to get a bullish divergence confirmation. Then the 15-minute. The 15-minute is kind of confirming of the bullish divergence. We are at support, so I'm market longing here, and I'm also setting a DCA bid here. Let's see how it plays out, and we'll look at the divergences as well. So you can see here, initially when we entered into the support zone, we actually bounced, and then we came down confirming a 30-minute bullish divergence as well as a 15-minute bullish divergence. Came down, fully filled us, hit our first take profit point, but you can see, again, this is just more of an example of how powerful the high confluence zones are. You can see this trade just played out beautifully based off of the confluences that we're executing on. Reclaimed the 200 EMA, holding support very strongly, bullish divergences on multiple time frames. The 4 hours completely oversold, and the trade played out very, very beautifully. This is just another example of how the indicator basically is super strong and can help you form a bias. Is there any way to see past trading results for the limit order bot? Yes, we do have a backtest channel that is yet to be released. We're kind of just refining it right now. So again, guys, this is just one example of many that the indicator is just unbelievably powerful. Again, a really high confluence trade here, and just kind of breaks down all the 6 steps that I've listed here. These are the 6 steps that I use daily to basically execute trades. Now, I briefly talked about USDT, and then I'll let Dilio kind of take over his segment of the stream. So the indicator levels on indexes are a cheat code in my opinion. I've been using them so much more since the indicator released. But basically, again, when we're coming into resistance areas on USDT, I'm looking for longs. So right now I am in a massive area for longs. Down here where I've highlighted, I posted this on my Twitter. This is where I was looking for shorts. As you can see, we pretty much tapped into my zone, and from here all the way from Monday, we have just been down only. You can see it in the market right now. The market's just absolutely bleeding. But when I got that alert, I wasn't looking for longs, I was looking for shorts. This is a massive tool in your trading toolkit to form a bias. You should always be starting your day looking at the indexes, no matter what. But that basically breaks down my segment of the stream. I appreciate you guys listening. I know I rambled a lot. Dilio, your time to shine, brother.
All right, sweet. Yeah, so I'm gonna run through a bunch of different examples. Similar to Woods and Dow, like I have multiple of the indicator on here. So I have 4 of them. What I like to look at on the indicator is I like to look at all of the levels. So not just confluence zones, but all of the levels like this. I have another indicator that is just confluence zones. So this one's only gonna show me those high confluence areas with multiple levels, where this one here will show me all of even the single levels. I have this one here, which will then show me divergences. And I have another one which shows me the Monday range. Having multiple, the same way that like Woods showed you guys and Dow also, is it gives you the ability to flip between things. So if you want to play Monday range, you can see even this retest here. You can look at the divergences with Monday range, or you can look at single levels, confluence zones, things like that. Makes it a little bit easier than having to go into settings every single time and kind of like optimize for what you're looking at. So just a little cheat code for you guys, but let's run through a bunch of different examples here. So what we're going to go over is I'm going to show you guys a bunch of different trades that played out and kind of how I use the indicator. So what I like to do is I strictly just trade 15-minute, 30-minute divergences. I like to trade them in overbought or oversold territory on the RSI. And I strictly just use levels, Woodsbot levels. I've been trading now about 3 years, used, every single indicator under the sun, tried all these different types of strategies and stuff. And at the end of the day, by far, this is the most accurate and easy system for me to follow. And so that's why I teach you guys, how to trade with it. I show you guys all the different strategies. Really becomes simple once you start using these levels and the divergences and things like that. And the best part about it is you can just throw it on any chart just like this. So for instance, I have these levels on. That's just because I've drawn them on for example's sake, so I can drop down to lower time frames. But you can go into any chart, map these levels out, and really, really easily backtest exactly what it looks like and how these things play out, right? So this here is the confluence zone. This level we tested 3 different times. You can see we had a reaction at it every single time. So what I'm going to do is just circle all of the reactions here at levels, and then I'm going to boil it down into the lower time frame so you guys can see exactly the triggers that I would take, or that other people like even Dow and Woods divergences would also take, right? So you can keep it on the 4 hour, you can look at your levels, you can map them out, and then this is one of the easiest ways for you to see exactly how you could have executed on the lower time frames. So now we're going to drop it down. I like to execute on the 30-minute and the 15-minute mainly. And I'm going to turn on the divergence piece of the indicator. So this is going to show you when there's divergences. Again, on any time frame, you can switch it from 4 hour, 30-minute daily. It'll show you divergences instantly, just like this. But we're going to break it down, just take a look at each one. So there's 2 things that I personally look for when executing a trade. Number 1, I love 30-minute divergences, and if they are oversold or overbought, much higher confluence for me. And you can see here, beautiful 30-minute divergence, and we'll go through each of the circled spots, and you can see just how you could have executed at almost basically every single one. So we have this one here with a beautiful 30-minute divergence, again into your H4 level. If we look at this one, you had an hourly div into this confluence zone, but you also had price being oversold, right? So the other thing that I look at, which you can see here, is even on the hourly time frame, as you come into this confluence zone, there might not always be divergences, but one of the other things and triggers that you can look for is the RSI being overbought or oversold. So inside the Discord, we also have bots that show you this. We have the RSI divergence bots that show you just divergences. They also will show you divergences in oversold or overbought. And you can also see bots that show you, which coins are oversold or overbought. So that's another way that I like to look for triggers. And you can see as we go through, just all of these give you like really beautiful, nice triggers. And one of the things people have issues with the most is, how do I execute this trade and where would I set my stop? So one of the common things you can do, obviously, if you understand like structure and stuff, is you can set your stops above a different structural area, a different high or a different low, where the trade you're taking would naturally actually be invalidated. But the other thing you can do too is you can use the levels as stops as well as take profits too. So this one's quite close. If we look, like this level here is about 3% away. So, what people can do if they're looking to take trades, specifically divergences and whatever other triggers you have into levels, is you can use the next H4 or daily level kind of thing as a stop loss for your trade, right? Because if it loses this level, naturally what's going to happen is it's going to look for the next level, whether that's to the high or to the low. So that's one way. It's a common question we get, is how can I position my stop loss using the indicator? And you can basically do it like that. So like for instance, in this trade here, the divergence too also will not always be directly at the level. You can see this one printed above the level here. You have your RSI being overbought. You can still execute this trade. Maybe you only get in at the level when it loses the level, whatever it might be, but whatever, just say you have your stop here. Your natural stop loss would want to be above this high here, because if price starts to push above, you're making a higher high overall and you're going to continue to trend higher. And you also have the Woodsbot 4-hour level here, right? So, having it maybe like 4%, 5%, whatever, if price even does come up, maybe you get a div, maybe it rejects from the level here, having it just a little bit above is a good approach to it. And you'd naturally at least want to just target the next level or, a breakdown further, considering this is like a higher low overall on higher time frames. There is a lot of nuance to how people play stops and stuff. One way you can do it is with the Woodsbot levels. Let's take a look at the other ones here. And this is just a really good way for you guys to go and back test the indicator, right? So like I said, for me personally, I trade divergences. I set my levels, circle where the rejections happened on a higher time frame, like 4-hour, zoom down to 30-minute, and I just analyze, what did the divergence look like? How could I have executed this trade? Like these ones are absolutely beautiful, right? You have 1, 2, 3, like 4 drives of bullish divergence into your confluence zone, right? If we look, this was one of the confluence zones. So this is 2 levels here. You have your daily and your 4-hour level at the exact same, right? So you see the confluence zone light up. Whereas if we were to put on just the regular levels, you see confluence zone, but these ones are just singular levels. So this is a stronger support. And we can see that because price bounced 3 separate times. It made lower highs every single time, but it still held this level until today, where the market's just absolutely bleeding. So you can see that when price came down on the 30-minute where we have here, this was a beautiful opportunity for a trade. You had multiple drives of bullish divergence into here. Price held. We didn't even close a 30-minute below, even with all these retests. This was a beautiful setup for a long. Again, if you were to take that long, wherever you got in, right, you're not getting in Pico most likely. Right, set your stops below the structural low, where if price does go down here, it's invalidated as we're seeing here, and target that next level. Now there's probably a level in between, but you can use those levels to take profits on the way up to here, whatever. But you can see what happens when we get to this level. Say this was the trade that you took. This was your target. Well, you have literally the same play out here, multiple drives of bullish divergence on the 30-minute time frame, in oversold, this one at least, and then you have the same setup here on the inverse at the level. This level is a bit far away. You could set your stop 3.5%, 4%, or up here it's about 5%, whatever you're more comfortable with. And you can see here how this one played out. absolutely beautiful. We get into overbought territory here again, and you can just see, right? You can see this trend on the RSI. We are trending down as price is trending up, and the indicator will show you that. So the way I look at it is the levels that you get from the indicator, these are your areas of interest. The confluence zones even more so because they are stronger levels. You know, there's a daily, an H4 support or resistance, or a weekly and a 3-day. They are very strong. And the way that we calculate these levels, you know, there's a lot of data that goes into it. You can't eyeball levels this good. This is math. Like, this is where volume happens. These are very strong levels. Take the indicator, go and back test with it, and you'll understand exactly what I mean. But you can see here that like these divergences, now you have your area of interest with the levels, but you also have your triggers to execute the trade, all built within the same indicator. And again, this is just one way to use the indicator. Everyone's going to use it differently. But like, I have my areas of interest highlighted, and then I wait for the chart and the indicator to give me my triggers. And that's here, you know, that's here, right? Like, you have these show up on your chart and you can execute around them. And, you know, that's the beauty of the indicator. You can set up your divs with Monday range sweeps, for instance, like I said. So you can use Monday range with divergences too. Like, you can have so many ways and combinations of using the indicator with the, you know, your specific trading style. And whether that's supply and demand, support resistance, sweeps and SFPs, you can use all those triggers into confluence zones and singular levels, and you will see just how powerful they are. But it's the same thing, right? Like, confluence zone here, if we turn it on, you can see this was a confluence zone, this was as well. And you can see price rejected 3 times from here on ENA. We could never flip this level once we lost it. And it's the same process, right? It's all muscle memory, right? Like, the more reps you put in with back testing, looking at the charts, you can start to execute these trades. And the indicator can tell you everything you need, from the levels to look at to the actual triggers to take the trades, like divergences in this instance. What do you have here? A 30-minute divergence in overbought territory. That's your short. Price tests it again. You have multiple drives again into here. Overbought just about, you know, at the upper limits. That's your short. And it goes on and on and on, right? And it's like, I'd say just take an hour or two a day if you're serious about using this indicator. Go through our education. Do what I'm showing you here. You know, watch this back. Just put your levels on your charts. Look at whatever triggers you trade with. Again, sweeps, supply and demand, just support resistance, low time frame structure, SFPs, whatever it is, and just map out what happens at these zones for yourself. And you'll start to see the reactions that you get around these zones and how you specifically can trade them. So if any of that's unclear too, like if any of that doesn't make sense, if any of you guys have any questions on the indicator, how I look at it, Woods looks at it, Dow looks at it, how anyone looks at it, like, feel free to ask. Again, there's no stupid questions. Like Dallas said, the whole heart of this company is we help you become profitable traders, and that's how we at the end are successful. So it's like we put these spaces and this time together because we want you guys to ask, right? We want to know the questions you have so we can improve the products, improve the education, everything. So now's the time if you guys have any questions. And I, for instance, too, what Dallas said with indexes, I do that as well. I think indexes, if you're looking at high time frame and areas of interest, so let me show you this. Right here, this is the 22nd of June. This is the 22nd of June here on the short, this one here. Now, what is Bitcoin doing on the 22nd of June? If we look at Bitcoin, we have Bitcoin here. What do we have? If you break it down, you can see that we are overbought on the 30-minute time frame into a 4-hour support above. And if you look at the 4-hour close, we did not close above the confluence zone, even though we had a push above here, right? We rejected. This was your indicator on high time frames, USDT even. If we take a look at USDT, 22nd of June was here, right? Same levels that Dow was looking at. If we put just the single levels on, right? We came down, we tested into an area here on USDT where USDT bounced, and inversely we had Bitcoin reject. And at the same time, right, you can use these high time frame levels and charts and indexes to then tie in where you're looking to time alts, like this, for example. Or like this, for example, right? Yeah, it's really important to look at the high time frame. The levels we give you with the indicator, especially the confluence zones, are absolutely perfect for knowing when to time support and resistance. And then, yeah, you can use your triggers. You can use divergences, Monday range, all the things that I mentioned into those levels to then execute your trades. Taco says, for big confluent zones, do you set a limit and like set and forget, for example, or do you wait for a sweep at that level? For me personally, I used to set a lot of limits, but like I don't set limits anymore. I'm just watching for the divergences that I like, and I'm just market entering for myself. You can do that though. Like these confluent zones, again, you can go back test 100 of them very easily, right? They're on your chart. You just circle where the previous touch points are, and you can break down, how many actually had a bounce that was sufficient of a 2 to 3% bounce from where you'd set a limit to at least you would have, moved your stop break even or got a TP1. And you can statistically go and break these things down and see, what are the actual reactions at these zones? Can I set limits at them? Does that match my trading style? Things like that. But for me personally, yeah, I market enter. You kind of just eyeball and put the stop loss, for example, along below the wick low. And also a big level like an H4 or confluent zone, how far away do you put it to make sense? So for me, like this is the thing, is trading it's one of those things where it's like, where do you take profits? Where do you use stop loss? It's like, I've been trading for 3 years. I understand market structure. I understand real invalidations to the trades that I take. I understand where we could get a sweep and it might not be a reversal. And so it's like, it's very dynamic for me. It's like, I don't use the levels myself. It's just kind of my own intuition of understanding where the true invalidation on the trade would be. So it's a very subjective thing, the same as taking profits, but that's why I was highlighting that you can use the Woodsbot indicator levels to do both, right? And again, if you back test, you'll see that, when you approach an H4 and you're in a long and, RSI's at like, getting into overbought on 15, whatever, it's like, it's a good place to take some profits or at least move your stop, because statistically you're going to have a reaction around these levels. But yeah, for me, it's dynamic just based on kind of my experience.
I think that we're approaching times in the market where having these confluence levels in places where you're convicted in entering trades and entering positions that are going to last you, into next year, 2028, whatever the case may be, is super important, and people overlook that because people just generally hate these type of environments. And I get it. It's super sickening to look at these type of environments in like intraday. The reality of the beast is like the best opportunities are going to be had in this atmosphere. Honestly, like Tal hit it home as well. Majority of your guys' success is a direct reflection of the company and what we're looking to provide for you. Everybody has a ref link out there. You guys are more than welcome to use anybody's ref link, but why not use ours if you can get everything that we're showing you and more, because we continue to provide updates. We continue to give you guys insight. We continue to give you guys what's needed to be successful in this market. And we will continue to do so one way or another. So we appreciate you guys for coming through. We appreciate you guys for being loyal supporters of the Woodsbot brand. We have a lot in store for you guys towards the end of the year. And things are just heating up for this market. Obviously, things look shit, and they are going to continue to look like shit. But again, these are where the best opportunities are provided. So take advantage of the opportunity that you're presented. And if you're in this market for the last 2-3 years, if you're in this market for the last year, half a year, consider yourself lucky that you're still at this point, or that you're just entering, right? Because this is where I believe a lot of the opportunities for the next 2 years are going to present themselves. So I'll see you guys on the other side. Let's make the most of it. See you guys. Peace.